This is my post-match review to the Fulham 2, Tottenham Hotspur 0 Premier League game. And if you can hear a kind of dull tone in my voice, it's because I would say that is possibly the least unexpected result. I think before the game, I thought maybe some of the pressure would have been taken off Spurs by the fact that they won on Thursday night and through to the Europa League quarterfinals. But I think Ange rightly, rotated his squad. And as a result, in the first half especially, it was just evidence of a very mix and match team. Like I said it during the watch along, one of those classic performances where, you've got kind of half of your first team players and then half of your players who come in to replace the first team if they're injured. And as a result, there's no fluidity and no rhythm. And that's exactly what that was like. But in the second half, he made a change at half time. He brought on Bergvall, he brought on Son. And Spurs very much, for the first half an hour of the second half, had the best of it and made one particularly gilt-edged chance for Dominic Solanke, who was unfortunately not kind of expecting it from a chest down from James Maddison. I'm just watching Lucas Bergvall, who's complaining to the referee because Bergvall thought he should have had a penalty in that second half off Calvin Bassey. He needs someone really to take him away here, Bergvall. There's no point in him talking to the referee anymore. It would have been, in terms of that penalty situation, it's a foul that would have been given for him elsewhere on the pitch, but it just didn't look like a penalty. I think it wasn't helped by the fact that Bassey is so much bigger than Bergvall, so it looked kind of just in real time like it looked just like he kind of out-muscled him, but he did foul him. But Bergvall was outstanding when he came on. Bergvall is the light. Him and Archie Gray are the light at the end of a very dark tunnel of this season. And as I was saying towards the end of the watch-along, every chance that, the week after or the week we get back from the international fixtures when we play our next game, that we could be down in 16th place in the Premier League, literally only above Ipswich, Southampton, Wolves, and those teams. And at the beginning of the watch along I did today, I got some comments talking about how I'm a negative Spurs fan, how I'm reactive, how I'm Ange in when we win and Ange out when we lose. And it's like, I have to say, not only did I talk about it at the time, and being reactive is what supporting football is all about, but no matter how many injuries we've had, and also let's not forget that injuries, I think, have to be the responsibility of the manager. He's in charge of the training. He's in charge of how many sprints we do, blah, blah, blah. But how can you defend 16th in the Premier League? How can you defend it? I don't know how. I'm finding it hard to defend it. I'll stick to it. I want it to work for Ange. God, there's nothing I want more than for him to win the Europa League. And I agree that he should be rotating these games. And all that really matters in these Premier League games is that we don't get any injuries. And the only one that looked a bit of a worry, Romero went down at one point. Hopefully he's fine. But no matter what happens, it's going to be incredibly difficult for Ange after this season. Even if we win the Europa League, it'd be an incredibly difficult meeting he's going to have with Daniel Levy, Scott Munn, Johan Lange to discuss why we finished most likely kind of 13th, 14th at best, 15th, maybe 16th in the league. Very, very poor indeed. In terms of performances, Vicario didn't have much to do. I think arguably he made a few wrong decisions, punching when he could have caught. But I'll give him, I don't know, 6 out of 10. Jed Spence did okay. I'll give him a 6.5 out of 10. Romero, 6.5 out of 10. Ben Davies did okay, but then unfortunately was at fault for the second goal, where he was left isolated by Jed Spence up against Ryan Sessegnon. So I'm going to have to mark him down for that. So I'll give him a 6 out of 10. Udogie, flattered to deceive a lot of the time, maybe 5.5, 6 out of 10. In midfield, incredibly functional midfield he picked. And in the first half, just no creativity whatsoever. Archie Gray did fine. His first kind of 90 minutes for Spurs playing in midfield, although actually at the end, the last 20 minutes, he played at centre-back again. I'll give Archie Gray 6.5 out of 10. Bentancur, whatever, 6 out of 10. Brennan Johnson hooked off at half-time, 4 out of 10 for Brennan Johnson. Solanke worked hard. I'll give him a 6.5 out of 10. Tell did one brilliant thing, so I'll get him up to a 6.5 out of 10. I'm missing one midfielder. Who were the midfielders? It was Bissouma. Oh, God. 4 out of 10 for Bissouma. So all in all, just, a kind of classic poor Tottenham away defeat that we've seen so many times this season. And really, how can you be surprised when we're playing, like I said, mix and match teams? Half the first team, the rest of the players made up of players who are kind of squad players. No rhythm, no balance. It was better in the second half. We did pick up. We should have scored. And I think if we'd had scored the first goal, then I think we would have won that game. But we didn't. And by that point, he'd taken Romero off because he's worried about his injury or getting re-injured. And I'll have to say that I think in reality, we're just not as good. We're not as good when we've got Davis and Archie Gray playing at centre-back. And certainly for that first goal, another example that I've seen so many times this season of when the opposition are in our box, but there are lots of kind of men around, Tottenham players afraid to put in kind of strong 50-50 challenges, like they're afraid to give away penalties. Well, don't be afraid to give away a penalty if you're going to give away a goal. Do you know what I mean? You have to show when you're in your own box that you're in the ascendancy, that you are the person taking control of the situation. Make the striker be afraid to put his foot through the ball because he doesn't want to get a kicking, A lot of it is kind of almost the perception of what's going to happen as much as what is going to happen. And so that was disappointing that we let Muniz, who only came on as a sub, get that goal. And they're just showing the replay now of the chance for Solanke. And really, in reality, he was 7 yards out. And it comes to him pretty slowly from a chest from James Maddison. And the thing is, he just wasn't expecting it. But if we'd scored this goal, we'd have won the game. And he just gets too much on it, volleys it over the bar, unfortunately. But listen, I cannot be a hypocrite because I said I don't care about what happens in the league. It's not literal, like I care. But what I mean is it's important that he rests those players who are going to play in the Europa League. My big worry, actually, is Solanke. Solanke is basically being flogged again, isn't he? And he is the only player who can properly play number 9. My big fear is if we flog Solanke too much going into that Frankfurt game, we won't win. If we don't have Solanke, Van der Ven, Romero, and Vicario in the team for every game of the Europa League, we have no chance of winning any of them. I'm as clear as I can be about that. So we need to find a way to get some minutes off Solanke as well. And Solanke's going on international break. Now, I'm sure he'll only train. He's not going to play much, I'm sure, because Kane will. But we have to be careful with Solanke. As careful with him as we are being with Mickey van der Ven, who was on the bench today, but didn't get a chance to come on, and I don't mind that. So I can't be a hypocrite, like I said, and that's why I didn't shout or scream at the screen today. I think if we'd got that first goal, we would have won. The way we played second half, definitely deserved to get a draw, but when it came to the last 15 minutes, once we'd made those changes and Romero had gone off, there was no chance we were getting back into it there. They're just playing the replay of the Bergvall incident again. Bassey looks like a little bit guilty, but once it's not given on the pitch, the VAR is not going to turn one of those over. And it just, once again, just watching even in slow motion, it just didn't look quite right, unfortunately. But like I said, shining lights. Archie Gray's first game in midfield. Bergvall looked great again when he came on. Sad to say, but I'm kind of pleased for Sessegnon. Good lad. He got a lot of stick from Spurs fans, and it's unfair because he's just injury prone. That's it. It's not because he's not a good player. He's an excellent finisher, as shown again today. But he won't play that many games for Fulham either. I think he's just not got the muscles for it, unfortunately. But another defeat for Tottenham. Disappointing. But we lost against Fulham 3-0 away last year. We've not done well against them recently. Silva will be pleased. I have to say, in terms of Silva being on the list potentially as one of the next managers of Spurs, I didn't think Fulham were brilliant today. I would say Iraola over Silva, even though Bournemouth aren't on a great run of fixtures. But I thought Iraola's Bournemouth looked better than Silva's Fulham today. So I'd probably go there. But even saying that will probably get me in trouble with a number of Ange Postecoglou fans. And look, like I said, I love Ange. I'd love it to work for him, but just not going well for Tottenham in the Premier League this season. And it is, just to be very clear about it, statistically, this is more than on track to be Tottenham Hotspur's worst Premier League season ever since it started in 1992. And injuries are not solely responsible for that. So I'm afraid even you guys who are solely behind Ange Postecoglou, 100%, you're going to have a think about why it has been the worst season ever. I think we need to get another 10 points to try and stop that. And I'm not sure how that's going to happen. Our stats are 1-10, drawn 4, lost 15 Premier League games. Man United have only lost 12. West Ham have only lost 13. So it's Southampton, Leicester, Ipswich and Wolves. And very possibly, after the next round of games, we will be in 16th with only Wolves, Ipswich, Leicester and Southampton behind us. And I'm afraid, as much as I love Ange Postecoglou and as much as I respect your love for Ange Postecoglou, there's no coming back from that. If he wins the Europa League, it's a total other conversation. But Eintracht Frankfurt will watch these kind of games and just break Tottenham's rhythm. Don't give them any rhythm. Don't give them any chance. You will score a goal. And yeah, so the chance of winning the Europa League, not great. Anyway, that's been my instant match reaction. Thank you so much for watching. Do give the video a like. Press subscribe on the channel if you haven't already. Come on, you Spurs.